Hello everyone, I am Dr. Anil Kolpe, Assistant Professor of Economics, Arihant College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Baudan Budruk, Pune. Today we are going to discuss about the causes and measures of rural indebtedness. First, the causes of rural indebtedness. First is that ancestral debts. Most of the people living in rural areas are indebted right from the beginning. When a child is born, his parents are in debt. So, if during his lifetime his parents or father is not in a position to pay off his debts, then after him, his son has to shoulder the responsibility of doing so. In fact, it is taken to be the moral responsibility of the son to pay off his father's debts. Thus, the son of an agriculturalist normally inherits the poverty and the debts of his father. Then, second, the land hunger. The land hunger of Indian agriculturist. The Indian agriculturist has a peculiar mentally, mentality, and he is extremely reluctant to part with his land. So, in case of difficulties, he is ready to mortgage his land and is prepared to pay any rate of interest on a loan but is not ready to sell his land. This particular phenomena is known as the land hunger of Indian agriculturists. Similarly, in order to purchase lands, he often resorts to loans even at uneconomic rate of interest. This ultimately result in compelling him to part with the land and also make him indebted. Then third, social customs. The agriculturist has to observe the social customs of the society to which he belongs. Normally, most human beings have different types of celebrations. Human nature is such. Similarly, Indian agriculturists are also fond of feasts and celebrations. Some of the celebrations are related to religious festivals. On all such occasions, Indian agriculturists always indulge in extravagance. It may be an occasion of the celebration of a marriage or the birth of a child or any other occasion. It is not possible to meet these expenses out of the receipts from the agriculture, and so they resort to loans. This desire to celebrate and enjoy makes them indebted. Then fourth, legal or court expenses. Almost every agriculturist who has some land cannot avoid litigations. Whether he desires or not, he has to go to some court of law or the other. Legal court cases and litigations are always expensive. The agriculturist being illiterate, the lawyer, the peon, the clerks, and the court, almost everybody who can deceives him. This is also one of the most important reasons that makes an agriculturist indebted. Then fifth, the moneylender and their methods of business. The only source of credit which is definitely available to the Indian agriculturist is the moneylender's credit. The village moneylender is the only solace of the agriculturist, but the moneylenders are famous for their unscrupulous behavior. Once an agriculturist is in the clutches of a moneylenders, and he very rarely gets out of it. At first, moneylender tempts him to take the loan and then go on squeezing him until he becomes penniless. Thus, the village moneylenders are also responsible for the indebtedness of the agriculturist in India. Then next, low productivity and backwardness of agriculture. It is well known that Indian agriculture was singularly backward and least productive. Moreover, it is entirely dependent on the vagaries of the monsoons. This makes to income on the agriculturist susceptible to the fluctuations, and this exposes the agriculturist to indebtedness. The next, the burden of rent and land revenue. It is only during the last 20 to 25 years that the burden of rent and land revenue has become less. This is the result of the fact that the value of money has gone down as a result of inflation. Similarly, there has there has been no change in the land revenue. So now the agriculturists do not find the rent and land revenue burdensome, but it was not so formerly. Besides, the rent and land revenue were compulsory in the sense that whether the land yields something or not, the agriculturist had to pay them. So the agriculturist used to pay the rent and land tenure first, and thereafter, when he had nothing to live on, he resorted to loans. So, to some extent, the burden of land revenue and rent was responsible for the indebtedness of the farmers. Then next, effects of the rural indebtedness. First is that large section of the society is soaked in poverty. We have already seen that most of the people in India subsist on agriculture and most of them are indebted, and it is very dangerous to have a large section of the society permanently buried in poverty. It affects their desire to work and is responsible for the spreading an all pervasive pessimism amongst them. Then second one, productivity and efficiency is reduced. The poverty of the agriculturist affects his efficiency very badly. He feels that the amount of labor or hard work will not improve his lot. He is sure that he will not get any reward for his labor, and this makes him lethargic. He neglects his work, which results both in reducing his efficiency and the productivity of agriculture. Then, creating landless agricultural labor. In most of the cases, the land of an agriculturist mortgaged with the moneylender is ultimately sold to the moneylender, and thus he becomes a landless laborer. The process is very simple. The moneylender who has lent money to the agriculturist waits for 2 or 3 years, and in the meanwhile the amount of the loan goes on increasing and the interest is added to it. The moneylender goes on pressuring him for the repayment and is not ready to wait beyond a certain limits. This ultimately compel the agricultures to part with the land, and this process has been going on for the last several years. The next, political ill effects in a democracy. This is most dangerous. The political power in a democracy is derived from the voters. If most of the voters are illiterate and poor, it becomes very easy for the rich to persuade them to vote for a particular party or person by offering a small reward either in cash or kind. The next, the remedial measures to the problems of rural indebtedness. First measure is that the settlement of old and pending debts. States and union territories have enacted appropriate legislation to reduce the debts of small farmers and to discharge non-institutional debts of weaker sections. Legislation exists in most states of for compulsory the reduction of ancestral debts and in a few cases even for write-offs. However, problem lies with the fact that the farmers and the landless laborers may not take advantage because they are either ignorant of these legislations or are plainly afraid for of the moneylenders. The next, controlling non-productive loan. Settlement of old debts is not sufficient in the farmer borrowers for unnecessarily and unproductive purposes. Non-productive loans should be avoided. Social and religious function form an important part of the life of our villages. Actually, some institutional finance should be arranged for its purpose. The Shivraman committee has outlined the some proposals. First is that the consumption of loans for marriage, marriages, births and deaths, religious expenses, medical expenses, education, etc., should be provided by the government, corporations, and nationalized bank. Then banks and corporations should be provide similar loans, and schemes should be devised for retaining these loans. These are the three major remedial measures to the problems of rural indebtedness. And this particular rural indebtedness problem, with the help of these particular measures, we can reduce. Thanks for watching my video.